Hiya then folks, welcome to Boating on a Budget, with me, the tight Yorkshireman, and my long suffering partner Dawn. As you can see, this is an episode where we're tackling one of them jobs we've really not been looking forward to. We've got to prep the roof, ready for these fiberglass repairs. It's kind of a twofold situation really. The first element to it is this section here that we're sanding and grinding. When the fiberglass top was built, it would have been made in a mould, and obviously they've used two separate moulds, one for the front half, one for the back half, and then joined those together along that line. Over the years, that join has collapsed and allowed water to leak in. At various times it had obviously been repaired quite badly, so now we need to do it properly. The other element is repairs around areas where chimneys and vents have been in the past that have let water in, and we now need to make good and make those watertight once again. We really are winging it here, as neither of us have got any experience of fiberglassing or doing repairs like this of any kind. We've watched loads of YouTube videos and had lots of advice, so fingers crossed it all goes to plan. I found a technique that seems to be working. Mainly I've had to start doing this because both batteries are now flat. Flattening them batteries in no time. But see how I've done it? I've kind of like just using that. I mean that's way higher. Alright, I need to grind that bit back, and this edge needs to come back a bit anyway. But I'm just kind of working along sort of right. Well,
oh, so that's
even by the time I've ground that down, it's still going to be a bit below. I mean I might need to take a bit more out, but I'm just kind of working my way down. See?
Yeah.
That probably needs that one taking out there. But after this initial sort of clean up, we can see a few different things. First off, we took a bit of this wood out because that was standing proud, and obviously we don't want the fiberglass to come on. We've then, on this sort of section, I've took it past the gel coat. This is kind of the gel coat, and this is back to actual fiberglass. We're wanting to fiberglass onto the fiberglass, not onto the gel coat. That appears to be where kind of the issue was before. So all the way along, we need to grind back and get past the gel coat to wherever we're going to repair, which ideally we're going to repair about that sort of width. Partly because you can see there's obviously screw holes as well, presumably from another previous repair, so we need to cover them. One issue we have got is clearly if I put that ruler on there and follow the line of this roof, it's way above the height of that roof. We are going to grind an angle into the edges here, but it's not going to deal with that. To be honest, I've not even come up with a plan for how we're doing that bit yet, to try and get it looking alright. Next step though is continue grinding out and then grind these edges off, so we're creating in effect a well that we're then going to fill back up with fiberglass resin and the matting. As Dawn's still scraping big lumps off that side, I think I've pretty much got this side down to where it needs to be, because as you can see we've already in a couple of places I've got to where basically I've no fiberglass left, which obviously will build that back up. But I think that means this side is kind of as done as it can be. Now I need to move over to that side and do the same. Oh, and not to mention I need to deal with this hole here. The main section of the roof is made up of two skins of fiberglass with about a 12mm timber board in between them for strength. The problem that we've got is some of these chimney openings and vents have leaked in the past. Where the water's then got in, it's rotted that timber away. So after a fair bit of research and planning, it seems the best way of dealing with that is to cut this top skin away so that we can get rid of the rotten timber and replace it with good timber and then fiberglass back over the top. And yeah, that sounds really simple, let's just hope it pans out like that. Now I've chopped that top section out, cut a board that'll drop nicely into there. I'm going to use the good old CT1 adhesive and sealant to hold it in. Nice dollops of this all the way around, because obviously we're going to fiberglass back over the top of this. I'm going to get plenty on. I guess this is one time when, even being a tight Yorkshireman, I can't be cutting corners and saving money. That don't mean Dawn needs to get ideas about buying new Timberland boots though. So that drops into there. And that should be just about perfect, because that has sat to the same height as the bottom of that fiberglass, which means, like we've done with the rest, once I've sanded that back just to make it dip in, I'm reckoning that'll be perfect. I suppose I better clean rest up though. There's 2 or 3 sections then that we need to repair in exactly the same manner as that. And this next one's here where obviously the chimney used to be again at some stage. But because the roof's gone all weak further down, it means we need a slightly larger repair. But you can see, just as we're starting to take it off, that is just soaking wet under there. Hence why needing to do the larger area rather than just the immediate area around the chimney. And then as I've pulled these pieces off there, you can see how it's kind of made up in sections, but obviously the water's travelled between the sections anyway, so we need to work his way back till we get to the good solid dry timber. Like for instance, that bit there is nice and solid, so as we square that off, we know we're getting back to the good stuff. And then that's phase 3 of pulling this roof off. I would have set the camera up, but I knew I was going to be pulling and tugging at bits, and I didn't really want the tripod sat on the roof while I were doing it, because it would have ended up in the water. But as you can see, there's not a lot of that timber infill left on that section. So we've got the new board cut. It's just a case of cleaning all that out, making sure it's dry, and then sticking that board in exactly like that one. Have you been baking today, Dawn? That looks lovely. What is it you've got there?
Soggy wood.
Soggy wood. Nice. And that's what was in our roof. From the inside then, underneath what was obviously some kind of air vent at some stage, you could just see a few kind of fine little bristles of dried rotten timber, which only looked to be a small area. But now we've chopped this section out, which is nearly 3 foot long by 1 foot wide, you can see just how far this water has been travelling under that skin. So I think it needs all this scraping off on this, and then these sections we've opened up, we'll leave them to dry for a day or 2, I think. Just let them all dry out before we stick the new timber and the new fiberglass back on. Not every day you chop roof off your boat then, is it? It's been a funny day though, hasn't it? It's been sort of productive in a strange way,
in a really way.
Yeah. But obviously you've just finished cleaning it all down, haven't you? Got all the dust off. You've done tidy up time for us today.
Tidy up time? That's all I've done.
And I'm now just going to go around and in some of the big gaps just put a blob of grit fill, because obviously there's no point filling that up with loads and loads of resin and fiberglass. No. So I'll get that in, and then I think that's going to call it a day for today, isn't it?
Can't wait.
Have we earned either a cuppa or have we earned a beer today?
I've earned a beer. You can have a cuppa if you want.
We'll call it two beers, shall we then?
Definitely, definitely.
Job's a good one. This is how it's looking then at the end of phase 1, if you like. That joint's all cleaned out, ready for fiberglassing over. This boarding covering the hole that was a previous chimney opening. And then the 2 other holes further down there, both of those are now cut out, cleaned out and drying off, ready for the board going in. In terms of preparation then, that's about as good as it's going to get. We've got all the old fiberglass cut out, the board's back in place, all screwed in place so they're not going anywhere, and we've got all the fiberglass stuff laid out just there. But I think for now we'll leave this episode and then we'll come back to it next time and we can have a full episode of us clowning about actually doing this repair. But must very quickly say, just at the end of this episode, this is probably the one thing that since we bought the boat, that's about the only job we've not really been looking forward to.
No.
Everything else is kind of, yeah, we'll fit kitchens, we'll do bathrooms, we'll build bedrooms, and then it's kind of been, oh, but we've got that fiberglassing to do.
I'm apprehensive. Yeah, I really am.
So hopefully everyone's liked this video with us getting it all prepared. I'm sure they're already subscribed. And when they are, what do they need to do?
Press the like button. Ding the bell.
Ding the little bell.
I know I'd get it wrong.
That means you get notifications each time we put a post on. But other than that, I think everyone needs to join us next time and we'll actually crack on. And fingers crossed, get this roof fiberglassed back to being watertight.
Yep.
See you later, folks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.